What's going on, everyone? Trust the Buzz here. If you're new to the channel, I make Charlotte Hornets content, so if that interests you, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. If you cannot tell by the thumbnail title of this video, in today's video, we're going to be talking about Stephon Castle by popular demand. I put out a poll and overwhelmingly everybody wanted me to do Stephon Castle first, so that is what we're going to do. I'm going to break down basically every prospect that could possibly fall to the Charlotte Hornets at 6 or rise to the Charlotte Hornets at 6, and Stephon Castle by far and away was the one that everybody wanted to hear about the most, so that's going to be the first guy we talk about. The way I have this broken up is into 5 categories, just because this is like the essence of what makes a basketball player, and that's scoring, rebounding, passing, playmaking, handling, and defense, of course. So those are kind of like the 5 tiers we talk about, and I'm going to kind of talk about some other things that may not necessarily go in any of those 5, and I might just lump it into one of those categories because, like I said, those are the main makeup of a basketball player. And obviously some may matter to more players than others. Like, for example, Stephon Castle, am I really worried about how good his rebounding is? Not really, but he's not that bad of a rebounder if you look at it. But anyway, now that I kind of broke it down, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about, and probably the best thing about Stephon Castle, is his defense. He plays overwhelmingly extremely solid, dirty defense. And what I mean by dirty is, like, not that he's necessarily breaking the rules, but the defense he plays on people just makes the basketball you're evaluating ugly. He just muddies up handles with his length, with his strength. He has a very aggressive approach when it comes to point of attack. He really puts players in jail when it comes to playing defense on him when he's playing defense. And I think one key thing about it is how quickly he's able to recover if he does kind of take a misstep, because I think when you watch him, you see him try to kind of guess where they're going to go next. A lot of times he gets right. A lot of times he just positions himself in a way where he's not necessarily guessing, but he's good for no matter what they do. But if he does decide to guess wrong, he has the ability, the quickness, the just mobility to kind of readjust himself, and not just readjust himself and kind of affect the shot, readjust himself and put himself back in position to continue defending the ball handler. So his defense is by far and away the best thing you're going to like about him. I know there's so much you hear about him wanting to be the number 1 guard, not going to work out for teams that already have a point guard. That's fine and dandy, but I don't think there's a team out there, unless they have, the Spurs is probably the biggest team I can think of. I don't think there's a team out there that's drafted him to be point guard. They're drafting him for this particular skill set, and that is his defense. By far and away, one of the better defenders in the draft class. I think Ryan Dunn obviously has the upper hand on him, but Ryan Dunn literally can't do anything else except play amazing defense, which I think there's like a video somewhere in there where we should talk about Ryan Dunn. But like I said, Stephon Castle, his defense, I love it. I just love it because he's just very aggressive. You see kind of his aggressive mentality even when it comes to offense, like when some and ones and whatnot, but you really see it play out when you're watching him play defense. And he also has this incredible ability to play like this free safety role that sometimes you would see Dan Hurley at UConn use him. It's where he literally just rotating, whether that's double teaming someone off the elbow, or he's rotating down to the paint because he sees a cutter, or the person he left open to double team is cutting, and he's able to meet them in the paint and protect the basket. It's just incredible stuff that you see, and a lot of it is like, it does take place. It does help that you have a Donovan Clingan. It does help that you have a Tristan Newton. It does have you have these other guys, and as well as a well-coached structure system at UConn, but you can't take away what Stephon Castle is able to do. And I think that's some of the best stuff we'll see from this draft class when it comes to players and their specific skill sets. Stephon Castle's defense is like up there as far as like players and their best skill set. If you were to rank them, I would definitely want Stephon Castle's defense, just because it comes with that attitude, and then also you can't deny the physical skills he's gifted with, and then his actual natural ability to just do all the things he's able to do. Like I said, his length is able to disrupt ball handlers. He's really good at anticipating passes as well. I think teams really struggle with they'll try, like, let's say there'll be a double team and they try to throw over the top. He has like I said, he has the size and length, but he also has like that anticipation of the ball's going up, and while he's like basically blanketed over the defender, he has the ability to kind of jump back and then get up and tip the ball, take the ball, whatever the case may be. He has a lot of highlights where he's able to do that, and then they run on to the break, which I think that would be a good transition actually to talk about his offense. And we'll talk about his shooting last, because I think we all know how much we wish he would shoot more. A lot of it's confidence to me, but we'll talk about that. I think the biggest thing, and it works with his defense being so good, is that he's really, really good in transition. He knows how to run his lane. I know a lot of times you'll see, specifically in college basketball, sometimes you'll see it in pros with younger teams, or mental lapses that teams sometimes have, where players will kind of like cut as they're going on fast break, and then they'll kind of end up being in the same place, so you can't really tell who the ball's for. In my evaluations of Stephon Castle, you didn't see that much. For a team that liked to run, the way they were able to swarm the ball, a lot of times they were running in transition. Stephon Castle fills out his lane and takes his lane, and I think it opens up the floor for everybody else to kind of operate, but also it opens up the floor for him to be able to attack the basket, which he's really good at. It's really hard to stop him in space. It's not like he has these special moves, but he's just so strong, so aggressive. I think that it's just going to be tough for a lot of teams to be able to stop him. He finishes well through contact. He's very nimble through traffic. He's able to kind of Euro his way through traffic a lot of the times. I will say that, in the competition, sometimes he played, it was kind of muddied a little bit, as in you kind of wonder, like, well, this is against DePaul. This is against Villanova, who wasn't as good this year. This was against, XYZ. But into the tournament, when you're facing when you're facing better competition, he still had the same skills when it came to his transition offense, and I think it's one of the better things that you would kind of find to like about him, because the way his defense sets up his offense, and even in the half court, I think he doesn't really do a good job of, he doesn't break down his defender, but he does a really good job of just having that natural burst to kind of get by his guy, and then he's able to take contact and finish. I think I want to say he had 17 and 1 finishes, which, I mean, that's maybe not off the charts, but I still think that's pretty impressive for a guy who, if you look at his three-point shooting, you think he lacks touch, but to be able to finish through contact, have that strength, have that balance, but then also have the touch to get the ball up and score, I think is a skill in its own, and he does that extremely, extremely well, in my opinion. And the contact doesn't have to be people his size. I've seen him take on contact from bigs. I've seen him take on contacts from guards, and he still is able to get the ball up and finish. And then also another thing, specifically for the Hornets, I think this will work out, is his off-ball cutting. And sometimes that's in transition, where you have somebody running down on the right side and they pass it to someone cutting down the middle, and then Stephon Castle cuts in from the left and no one ever sees him. He cuts baseline, and then boom, he has the ball, goes up for an easy dunk. And I just really like his awareness of what he's good at, and also what he may not be the best at. He doesn't try to do too much offensively. He sticks to what he's good at. He's not going to sit here and take a bunch of three-pointers knowing that he does struggle to shoot. He's not going to sit here and take a bunch of middies knowing that that's not really his game. He's going to continue to do what he does best, but he does it in so many different ways, and I think that works out for him. I can't sit here and talk about him in that way without mentioning his shooting. He has to be open. He'll shoot it, and even then he's a little hesitant. And when you look at the film, it doesn't look like he's hesitant, but go watch someone like Dalton Connect from Tennessee. He pulling up on anybody. If the closeout is strong enough, you'll see Castle put the ball on the floor and then attack the rim, and more times than not with I was about to say Canada for some reason, but with UConn spacing, he still is able to get to the rim because it's not like the paint is too cluttered. But yeah, if the closeout is strong enough, he's not putting it up. Like I said, you go to Don Connect, you go to Rob Dillingham, and he doesn't have to be on these extreme levels, but I'm just mentioning, if you go look at their film, you will see that, okay, I do see the hesitation in his shot, and it doesn't just seem like he has confidence in it. Now, when he's open, this is the thing, when his shot, I feel like he has to know before the ball swung to him, he has to know he's going to shoot it. I don't think I'm not going to say able, because I feel like it's very strong to say he's just not unable to do something. I just don't think he's confident or ready right now to make that decision at the time he's getting the ball. or reading the defense at the time he's getting the ball and say, I'm going to shoot it. I think he has to know where his surroundings are, pre-pass. Then once he gets the ball, he already has it made up in his mind he's going to shoot. Those are the times he's going to shoot. No matter how you slice it, no matter if you try to do it by certain months or whatever, his shooting is just not good, and he's going to have to work on it. I did think he shot a lot better in the combine. I think he was 18 for 25 or standstill threes unofficially. I think not bad at all. I think people want to see it in game. I don't think there's anything wrong with his shot. I think he's just got to get his confidence up. You also got to think, especially with college basketball, you got to think about the system he's playing in. I don't think the system took away from his shooting. I just think the system didn't matter whether or not he shot or not. I think the system really required him to kind of really be the guy who he is, play the way he is, attack the rim, whether that's on ball, off ball. It didn't really require him to shoot because he had Cam Spencer, Tristan Newton, Alex Caravan. He had a couple other guys as well. So it just didn't really require him to shoot. He had guys to shoot. So I'm not saying that as an excuse. He's going to have to shoot, point blank, period. But when you look at college basketball, that is something that you have to pay attention to, is the system. How much does the system have, an impact on that? So I'm not saying that he's going to come to the Hornets and fit, next to Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball and all of a sudden just shoot lights out. I don't think that's what's going to happen. It's going to help him being sandwiched in between guys like Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, but I don't think that's going to be like the end-all be-all. He does have to work on himself, and just based on film, it looks like a lot of that's confidence. Another thing I want to mention is his playmaking. I know that he's talking all this talk about being a lead guard. I personally just don't see it right now. I see the skill set. I see where he can do it in stints, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, especially considering, I would think, this is how I kind of think if we were to draft him at 6, LaMelo Ball is coming back off an injury. It's going to take some time for him to kind of get full game speed. At least that's what I'm assuming. There's going to be times where we're going to need someone to run lead ball. And also, without substituting off the defense, that's where he perfectly plays into that. I've mentioned it before. We'll kind of talk about his role towards the end of the video. But yeah, I think that is where he'll shine in those stints of him just kind of being a lead ball handler. I think he's good at putting the ball in a great position. I know that's something that's usually used for quarterbacks in the NFL, but if you watch it, he's able to get the ball up to Donovan Clingan or whoever his center is, and they're able to high point it and then finish it with an alley-oop. I think that really works out for him. I don't really see him miss too many on those passes. He's really good at getting the ball to the dunker spot. He's really good at reading the defense and knowing who's closing in on him. He's just not this playmaking, maestro like LaMelo or even Micic but I would say he's closer to Trey Mann. It's just making the right reads, actually good, accurate passing. What more can you really ask for, especially for someone that's also going to provide that defense for you? If you can have someone, the way this team's kind of set up currently, where you have guys like Brandon Miller, you have guys like Miles Bridges who can kind of play off ball or on ball, it doesn't matter. I think they can make up for him just not being this all amazing floor general. But I do think he's really solid, and I don't think there's anyone on the team that can not benefit from him making plays. I just don't think that you should expect Micic type of and that sounds crazy to say, but I don't think you can expect Micic type of playmaker, even though sometimes Micic does crazy stuff. Next, I think we talked about his scoring. We talked about his defense. We talked about his playmaking. Rebounding, it really doesn't matter. He's an aggressive. He goes for the ball. That's really all I could put it. You can see it in when loose balls. You can see it with rebounds. It doesn't matter. He goes for the ball. I think he had 4.7 rebounds per game, so that tells you how active he is on the boards. A team that they team rebounding. He's one of those guys who will go get those long rebounds, which is something we desperately need. Because I feel like a lot of times we were caught just watching the ball and not really trying to even get it, especially on those long rebounds. He's just an aggressive guy. He's just going to go for the ball. He's really like a safety. So I really appreciate that from him, and that's something we need because Mark Williams and Nick Richards, at times they have games where they have really high rebounds, but at other times they're more boxing out than actually getting the board. So it's up to the other guys surrounding to get the board. So it makes me confident that from our guard position, we have Melo, Trey Mann, and in this case scenario, Stephon Castle getting the boards. I'm perfectly okay with that. LaMelo, of course, is an exceptional rebounder. This Stephon Castle's much of the same. And then lastly, we're just going to talk about his handling, just because I mean, he's quick. That's really kind of it. He really uses his size and strength in bursts to kind of get by people. I don't know if I've already said that or not, but I don't know. If I have, I'll cut it out. But yeah, he's just going to use his size and get by people, whether that's physically, as in, taking on the contact, or just kind of doing this Euro step, or just kind of putting a lot of pressure on them and having them lean one way and kind of, do a step back and then go the other way, or shoot off 1 foot or something like that. He's really, really keen on just getting to the basket. And I don't think he cares about contact or not. He's going to kind of put up not necessarily a circus shot, but it's not going to be your traditional layup, because he's usually weaving through traffic or taking on contact when he's going to the rim. One thing I will mention is how sustainable is that going into the NBA with taller, stronger, faster people? We'll see. But he's shown that he has the ability to adapt to that. As the surroundings of him around him change, I think when it comes to handling the ball and getting by people, I think he has shown the ability to adapt to that. And I don't think it's going to be a problem, especially going through NBA regimens like working out and film study. I think he'll be fine. But it is something to look out for, because it is literally not the same at the NBA level compared to college, even though he was playing, like I said, not the best talent, but when it came to the tournament, when they played good teams, they played very well. It's just that in their natural conference, it's not like they had these big bodies. I think Marquette was probably the biggest team they had to worry about. Was St. John good this year? I don't remember. Either way, I think was that the team, Rick? But it doesn't matter. Either way, my point is I think that he will adjust fine to the NBA, but it is, like I said, something to look out for. Overall, the way I feel about Stephon Castle, the shooting scares me. I really can't be, against you if you do not want someone that can't shoot, a guard that can't shoot in this day and age in the NBA. Has he ever really shown an ability to shoot? From my research, I have not seen a case scenario where he was able to shoot, whether that was for Team USA, whether that was in high school, anything I could find. And he never had a really high three-point shooting percentage. There's case scenarios where it works. Players are able to never have to worry about shooting. There's case scenarios where all of a sudden they learn how to shoot. It's all going to be about what the Hornets are looking to do. The reason I like Stephon Castle as much as I do, or Stephon Castle, I'm going to keep saying Stephon because it's spelled, I don't know. Either way, the reason I like Castle is because at worst, you're going to have, I'm not going to say elite, but you're going to have a great, great point of attack defender. No matter what happens, you're going to have a great point of attack defender. My cons would be his shooting. He has to learn how to shoot to really take this team to the next level. I think the defense alone can take us to another level, but if we really, really want to be maximize our best players, he has to be able to shoot. And then the other con would be that he wants to be a lead guard, and he's just secondary guard, wing, is written all over him. I don't see a world, like I said, without, maybe it's the Spurs, because think about it, if I'm just doing the quick draft for him. You got Wemby, possibly Rob Dillingham, Stephon Castle. I think it works out perfectly for them. But for us, I just don't see it working if he does not learn how to shoot. And also, like I said, being the lead guard. I just don't think that works considering what we have around him. It's not like Miles Bridges, this elite three-point shooter, even though he's shown, but it was only one season. LaMelo Ball, of course, Castle can't be a lead ball handler if LaMelo Ball's around, so things like that. What is his exact role going to be on a team? The best way I can sum it up, and I've said this before, is Cody Martin. What Cody Martin does right now, what the Hornets, what Steve Clifford particularly tried to force Cody Martin to do, that's what Stephon Castle can do for us at a higher level, cheaper rate, and just more on really both ends of the ball. I think he has a better finishing ability. He's a lot better finisher than Cody Martin, plays a lot better defense than Cody Martin, accepts his role more than Cody Martin, because I will say from the transition from high school to college, he was the guy. He was a lead ball handler. He dropped 40 or 30 something points on Ron Holiday in high school. and he goes to UConn, accepts what they're trying to do, becomes this guy that plays off Tristan Newton, who is someone who really is just now kind of maybe making his name for being, like someone that can be drafted as a senior, I believe he is. So willing to take that back seat and just play his role to win, and they won. And he excelled at it. It never looked like at one point he didn't want to be there or was mad or anything. He did what he needed to do, and it worked out for him. So I would hope that he carries that same mentality going to the NBA. I don't care what he says. However, you can't ignore it. You have to do your due diligence. I'm not for someone trying to take the ball out of LaMelo's hand. He is our offense. Brandon Miller is our offense. Miles Bridges are our offense. I think we have enough of those guys, and none of them, while all of them play well without the ball, LaMelo included, I'm not, especially for a rookie that can't shoot and can't create for himself in that manner, I'm not one to make those guys play off ball for him at heavy minutes in which he's indicating. So we'll see. Players say stuff like that all the time. Literally every year they say something along those lines, and they either suck it up or they get skipped over into a team that fits what they're looking for. Either way, Stephon Castle right now at the time of this video, and I'm recording this video at 11:38 on May 21st, I would say he is in my top tier. And I have players, my tiers are not in order. So like my tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, that's in order, but like the players within the tiers, they're not in order. And I would put him at my top tier. If the Hornets are going to know what they're doing, they're going to know he's going to buy into what they're going to try to do. And I think we're going to need some more shooting, so you're going to have to find a vet 3-and-D somewhere, or I think vet 3-point shooting period, and it can't be Bertans. I think he's a player that if he's available, he drafts. But you have to do these other things. You have to get shooting from somewhere else, guaranteed shooting, not LaMelo shooting, where LaMelo shoots well, but he's not like, I don't know how to explain it. That's just not what he does so many other things that I'm not really looking for LaMelo to shoot 40% from three. I'm really not looking for anybody to shoot 40% from three. Just looking for 38, 39, something like that. We're going to need that. And we can't rely on Meeges to do it. We can't rely on Cody Martin to do it. We can't rely on Trey Mann to do it. We need like a real shooter. So if you're going to bring in Stephon Castle, you're going to have to package something and trade for a guy that can legit shoot, because then at that point you kind of lower our floor when it comes to shooting, as I mentioned in my last video, we're one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league. But yeah, those are kind of my things I feel about Stephon Castle. He's in my tier 1, but there needs to be some work around the roster. If you're not willing to do that work, or you don't think he's worth the work, then don't do it. There's other guys that I would rather have that can kind of fit the team a little more nicely. But overall, I think we really need the defensive effort he brings. We need that guy to really just step up on defense and turn that defense into offense. We desperately, desperately need it. And if it's not coming from him, it needs to come from someone else. Hopefully, maybe like a Miles Bridges, or bring in another vet. But that skill set he has, we need. We don't necessarily have to address that through the draft, though. So it's up to the team. But yeah, he's definitely in my tier 1 of if he's available, if you're going to kind of do what I have set, the path I've set to make the team more successful with him on it. If you're willing to do that, then I think you have to take him. If you're not willing to do it or don't think he's worth it, then don't do it. But once again, thank you so much for watching this video. I really, really appreciate it, and I really will continue to get these out. I've created all the graphics for them. I just got to record the content. But once again, I think the next one is going to be Buzelis. I think it's going to be Modest Buzelis, who I'm really fond of. I know last time, and this is a rant, but I know last time I mentioned something about him being like not being 6'10". I thought because on film he looks like he's like 6'11", but not being 6'10" without shoes, it doesn't bother me. I think I mentioned that in the video, but it does take away when you consider his lack of wingspan and other things. It worries me about like his self-creation and things like that, but he still has really high upside, and he's just someone that I really believe that really, really believe that he has less to kind of add to the team to make him work as like a Stephon Castle, where I think there's some other things we need to do. Buzelis, I don't think there's much we need to add, but we'll talk about that in that video. Like I said, because I believe he's next. I think it was Castle, Buzelis, Cody Williams, and then Holland. So those will be the structure or the timetable of the videos coming out. But once again, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.